podcast that seeks to push meaningful conversation to a whole new level. Whether it's for your entertainment or your personal growth, we appreciate you being here today. And now, on to the show. What's going on, man? What's going on?
Shit, what's happening, man?
Hey, another wonderful day. I think we'll go with that one today. I didn't pick anything up before we started, so we're a little rusty.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little rusty,
It's
a little,
okay.
little dusty, but it's quite all right. It's been, oh no, it doesn't really matter how long it's been because when people see this, they never know
They never know.
how long it's been anyway, right? They're like, oh yeah, they just did something last week. Like, no, it could have been 9 years apart, and you're just realizing,
Right.
that, yeah. What's going on, man?
Nothing, man. Like you said, we've been talking, just not on. We're recording.
Not recording. Missed a lot of great stuff, but
Yeah,
too
but it's
bad for
been
you.
good,
Should have
man.
been here. Should
Yeah.
have been a fly on the wall. What are we getting into today?
Man, we're talking about personal identity, man.
Yeah, personal identity. I thought about this, it was interesting. I was watching as always when I'm watching something or reading something or whatever the situation may be that I come across a lot of things. I was watching music video on YouTube, and it was kind of not my. Well, let me rephrase that because this is what we're talking about. Actually, we're talking about personal identity. So I was about to be like, it's not my usual thing, or what people would say would be my usual thing. But that's the thing is, people don't know
Yeah.
what my usual thing is, right?
Right,
and a lot of times I feel that you get stereotyped or classified or put into a box of what is acceptable based on your gender, your skin color, your where you live, where you come from, you know, all of those things. And as I was watching it, though, I was kind of thinking, what am I? Like, what am I? Who am I?
Okay.
And it was hard to kind of find. Maybe I had like a mini little panic attack because it's like, oh my God, who am I?
Who am I? Yeah, I need to. Yeah.
Is this real? Is this real life? And I tried to dig into why that was, and I mean, I still never found the answer.
Got it. I don't know that, man. I don't know that we should, at this stage in life, cause ourselves to go into a panic because we don't know. And the reason I say that is I look at the evolution of the last 6 months, the last year, the last 2 years, last 5 years, and each year has brought about a different life change that forced me to be somebody different or to learn something different about myself.
For sure.
And so there were, like you said, you were watching a music video and you was like, people may not think that's my thing. But in that moment, you were like, maybe that's my thing.
Maybe that's my
Maybe I'm
thing.
okay with that.
Yeah.
In this season of my life.
But it's always been me. And I think so, like what you're saying, right? So like you roll back your life from today, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, whatever. You had to learn new things, or you acquired new skills or new talents, or you delved into new areas of you, and you change as a person. But at the core, maybe that's just who you are. Like because there are people that could go through, similar life, like you had a new baby, right?
Yeah.
That changes there's some people that are like, fuck it, I don't care about that kid. I'm gonna stay the course,
I'm gonna
right?
stay who I am.
Like
Yeah, I got you.
you choosing to do that, right? That's a part of who you are, taking on
Right.
those new roles,
Okay.
growing and developing, right? And I guess for me, so I don't know, like it's just hard. I agree we shouldn't be panicking about this, but I was
I'm not knocking you because
No.
I was speaking to me too.
Oh
because
shit, no, not a knock at all. But I agree. Like I was starting to get a little worked up
Yeah.
because the more I thought about it, excuse me, Well, anyway, here's the thing. So I was watching a Yellow Wolf video, and it features Kid Rock, which
Okay.
has his own controversies lately. But it's called Let's Roll, and a lot of the video, like, it's very hillbilly-ish because Yellow Wolf's from Alabama. It's very hillbilly-ish. There's a lot of mudding, as they say.
Okay.
Big trucks and four-wheelers and country white folks. And I enjoy the song, right? Yellow Wolf was signed by Eminem for the longest, but it's not something that people would associate with me per se. And they'd be like, that's just weird, because I'm not going to be, dressed head to toe in mossy oak and camouflage and everything else. Or maybe I would be, I don't know. But it's little things like that. And it got me to thinking, growing up, I can't identify with any one thing, because I think about, like, growing up in California, lived throughout the state. And if anybody's been to California, the state from north to south is very different. Like, there's some similarities, but it's a very different lifestyle throughout. And, like, growing up in a black family obviously is different. Growing up with a father with a drug and alcohol problem and abusive, different. Growing up with a mother with all her own demons and issues, different. But then, like, my dad, growing up in California, when he had a job, he wore cowboy boots, which is not a very California thing, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you see that,
Right.
and you learn to polish boots and all this other stuff like that, and it was very weird. And then you go, there was an aspect of street life that I was involved in, where it was very violent, and then there was a lot of drugs there, and there was a lot of alcohol there, and there's a lot of whatever there. But then there was also a level of, like, snowboarding and country things and, big trucks and, like, whatever. And they're very contrasting lifestyles. But then I did it all.
Yep.
And then I said, fuck it, I'm going to move to Hawaii.
Okay.
And then now it's like free diving and surfing and, and completely different people, completely different atmosphere, finally making legitimate legal money and a good amount of it. And so your lifestyle changes a little bit. And then you leave and you go to Florida, or I left and I go to Florida, and then it's different type of people, Southern people. At the time, Plies and T-Pain are popular, so everybody's got dreadlocks, and I mean, I didn't, but, and gold teeth, and the dunk culture, and, if you didn't look a certain way, you weren't black, or you weren't whatever. A lot of drugs there too, a different atmosphere. And then you come to Texas, and everybody knows, everybody has an idea what Texas is, and it's completely different from all of those. And then at the end of the day, I've been out of my home of California longer than I've been in California, but I've been in all of these different, 6 years here, 8 years here, 15 years here, 20 years here, whatever, right? And I've picked up, but so what am I?
Why wouldn't you?
But what are you at that point, right?
You a mutt
because people
of all
still,
of it.
yeah, but people still tell you, like, where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Okay, oh, well, you're a California boy. I don't do anything. Like,
Yeah, I
I mean,
got you.
something, right? But
Right.
so stop classifying me as, I'm not a cowboy, for everybody out there, right? I'm not a cowboy even though I live in Texas. I'm not.
I could actually see you as a
California.
cowboy. To
Fuck
be honest.
that.
To
I
be
mean,
honest.
If you mean by being alone, just out on my
Nope.
on my
I
big
could
ass.
To be honest, you guys, Shepherd, I had a vision of who Shepherd was before first meeting him. I had an idea, but once we talked and we started meeting, I was like, this dude is a bit different.
A little different.
A little different.
Yeah.
But you were talking about watching that video, right? And they were you know, on the bikes, mud walking, doing whatever they were doing.
What they do.
I could actually see you doing that.
Oh, I would do it.
I know. I know. And so that doesn't surprise me that you were into the video.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, you know.
Because of the stuff we've talked about. And the stuff that you have on the books, man, to accomplish. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's easy.
It is, but like it's weird because it doesn't fit.
But why? What does it need to fit? What does it need to fit outside of you? Where else does it need to fit?
It doesn't, and that's why like I enjoy being uniquely me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like
people expect you to be a certain
way.
I get that, man. I'm from Louisiana, and so I get it. There's some parts of Louisiana that I, like you said, I'm not California. There's some parts of Louisiana that I still hold dear, right?
Right.
And I mean, I'm gonna be a Saints diehard fan forever, just because that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, there's those things, man. Like as far as things that I hold dear from home is cooking.
Right.
You know, just the food and those kind of things. Clearly, you know, it got a hold on me. We like to eat. And like to eat, you know, different types of food with sauces.
Yeah.
You know, and rice. So
yeah, sauces on everything.
But just like California, man, Louisiana is a melting pot, man. And from the bottom tip to the top tip, it's a different beast.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, because you know, most people from New Orleans feel like they are Louisiana. There's no other place in Louisiana but New Orleans. And
You're not from there, you don't know.
Right. You know, and it's a completely different culture, to be honest. And so where I grew up, man, in the heart of the state, I got a mix of all of it. And so it really is the balance between Creole, Cajun, and Hick. You know? So I got it all, man. And so, yeah, I mean, because you can get etouffee on this side of the family, you can get a fried pork chop on that side of the family.
Yeah, it's weird how that plays. And so that I guess I don't understand why people get so diehard into I'm just sticking you into this bubble, you know?
Yep.
But there's a lot of people that are just solely set on that. Like you can't be anything other. You told me you were from here, so you can't be anything.
That's a miserable life, man. That is miserable. Because what do you do with all of the other experiences in life that you've gotten, right? What do you do with those things that teach you? I mean, I've been in Texas, you know what, 22 years now. You mean to tell me that nothing about Texas has grown on me in 22 years? Like nothing has affected me, or I haven't learned anything new or developed something new because of my experience in Texas? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird to think that you can't be influenced by or pick up things in that amount of time. I mean, I'm the same way. I found myself a lot of times, depending on where, like some of my words and accents will change a lot, and I'm like, where the fuck did that, right? You know, if I hang out with someone, like I said, right, because obviously I have family in Louisiana too.
Yep.
I have family in St. Louis too.
Yep.
And I found myself, like, when I had to go to Missouri for, 6 weeks or whatever, like there were some words that was very St. Louis.
They shift.
They shift over.
Right.
And there's some, if I go visit my grandma, then they're in Louisiana, then some things
it shift.
just come out. I don't mean them to. It just happens.
Yeah.
It just happens. And but that's the thing is, I don't know, I guess I think what bothers me the most about it, and maybe when you tell us people that they bother you, that's when they really dig in.
Right.
And, well, now that I know that, I mean, it doesn't bother me, but it bothers me or when people assume, right? So I know when I was in Florida, and I told everybody that I was going to make a move to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
This was, I don't know how many years have I been here? 13 years, 12 years, 13. I don't know. It was a while ago. You would hear everybody would just have these grand assumptions that we ride horses everywhere, you know,
10-gallon hat.
yeah,
cowboy
big ass
boots,
hat and a revolver, and
Yeah. Well, you know what? You're not that far from that.
I mean, we're not. It's very. You go down the street. I probably have someone, you know, not too far from here, but that's the perception. Like, there's in their mind, there's not a city.
like it's the Wild West,
There's
man.
not a city
right.
anywhere. You know, we're all kicking in the saloon doors,
Riding on
and-
dirt roads.
Yeah, and having duels and the fucking high noon shootouts, you know. And I was like, you guys are so ignorant. But I mean, like, they were joking or saying things in jest, but at the same time, they weren't joking.
Yeah, right. There was
know?
this thought process about all of that. Right?
And that. I guess for me, that's where it gets frustrating, right? Is because people who have never experienced or they've only heard, like, they'll say, this is what it is. This is what you're going into. This is what you are.
Yep.
And they refuse to hear anything else. Like, no matter what you tell them, they don't want to hear it.
Man, there's a fight for that right now, kind of in culture, right? I mean, we see that with everyone trying to, or not trying to, or wanting you to identify them how they want to be identified, right? You know, we had somebody on the show, right? We had, you know, that wants to be identified the way that they want to be identified, right? And even in pronouns, right? We have, you know, where we want to be identified the way we want to be identified. And, you know, it's the, you know, when we look at like Texas, right? Yes, we have the largest rodeo in the United States, right? Here in Houston. But we also the fourth largest state in the United States. I mean, city in the United States, which means there's a lot of tech here. There's a lot of other things here. There's a lot of growth and development. And then there's a lot of cultures that are moving into this area that aren't Texan at all.
Not even
right?
close.
I'm not even Texan. You're not Texan, right? So we bring in a different kind of look and feel to that whole Texan vibe, right?
Yeah.
And probably Houston is probably less Texan than you would ever imagine.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion, from what I've seen Texas to be, Houston is probably shifted a bit.
I think it's definitely probably moved over the course of the years into what it is now. And I don't know. I guess even then, like, even if you've never left, say you've never even left Houston, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of all of the cultures, because of all of the people that are coming here, bringing their food, their ideas, their whatever, like, even that has to change you. It has to shift you. So the same people that are saying, like, hey, this is, you know, I've been here forever, this is my whatever, like, you're just as much, I mean, right, because that's what the whole point of a melting pot is, right? You know, you throw everything in there, you put it together in this wonderful shit soup, and then it's a little bit of everybody's everybody.
Yeah.
Right? So how can you definitively be so die hard Houston?
Right.
You know, you're so die hard Houston. I'm from, I don't know, Third Ward, Fourth Ward.
Right.
That shit's changed over the past of.
They are not the wars that they used to be.
They are not, right?
Yeah.
And if you're still a part of that, you've been part of that change.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not choosing to accept, then
I think you miss a huge opportunity to grow and develop when you stay in what used to be, you know, or what you've known something to be, because that house you grew up in is no longer there, and it's a, you know, 3-story duplex.
yeah,
You know, and so those things are beginning to shift. So just like that shifts, I believe we all owe it to ourselves to shift as well, to allow the identity, our thought process, to begin to just see the world in a different light, man. Because it's not the world my dad grew up in. There's some parts of it that are similar, but then there are some that aren't, right? And so if I stick with his thought process, if I stick with how I grew up and never change, then my son misses out, because I'm not able to translate to him how to live in a completely different world than what I grew up in, and then what my dad grew up in.
no, for For sure. And it's unfortunate because I feel that there's a lot of people that are refusing that change.
Yeah.
You know, I see it all the time in people that I know, and I mean, even people that I don't, you know, you can very much tell that they're stuck in whatever it was 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, they just don't want to move forward from this spot, right? And it's always a lot of this is how it was, this is how it used to be, and not this is how it is, and this is how it's going to be. You know, and those sayings hold a huge difference and swing things in a whole new perspective. All you have to do is just adopt that mindset, you know, but then again, it's not for everybody, right? I think it's just weird, right? Because there's not, in other things, there are just certain things that you can't do.
Yeah.
You know, right. And it's hard to decide. For some people don't want to hear that. You know, there's a lot of belief that, you know, you try hard enough, you're going to succeed at it. And that's not always necessarily the case. I mean, there's a lot of luck involved, right place, right time involved, genetics involved, whatever it is, you know. So at the same time, like, it's hard, right? Like, I'm me. I can only be me. All my experiences up until this point have made me me. Don't tell me I'm this one person when clearly I'm not. And take like when you don't take my word for this is who I am, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna tell you gonna tell me who I am better than I can tell me who I am? Now, that's completely different than saying, hey, you're in denial, or you're this, or you're that, or whatever. That's different, right? We know. But when it comes to like things that I like, things that I enjoy doing,
that because you're a middle-aged black man, these are the things that you should be doing. These are the things that you should like.
Yep.
These are the types of things that you should be going after at this point in life. And that roadmap is completely different from everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's you and I have some similarities, but then you and I are polar opposites in some things too. Yeah. And that's completely okay. That's completely fine.
100%. 100%. But it's also hard for people to understand, you know, and I talked about it before.
I think that's where we fall short. That's where we miss out on, I think, decent relationships or even better conscious relationships, is because we have expectations that people should meet what we believe them to be and not allow them just to be who they are.
Oh,
right? Because
sure.
we've set the bar here. Their bar actually may be here, but we want them to dumb down or come up to wherever we want them to be. And if they don't line up with that, then now we have an issue in the relationship, because it's all about control at that point.
Yes,
right?
100%.
And so you don't allow people, if you don't allow people to be who they are, then eventually that relationship is going to tear apart at the seams.
Oh yeah, no, it's got a very short life cycle at that point. You know, if you're not willing to accept, I don't know, really at that point, going back to the core of who people are, what they are, I mean, is it even worth trying to navigate that if you see what it is in the beginning? Like, is it worth trying to salvage, right? Because people are going to be who they are. And I don't feel, and I guess we're getting a little off topic here, but like, I don't feel that you can mold someone to be anything other than who they are. And what I mean by that is, at the core, at the base, at the root of who, like, yes, if someone has a drug problem, you can probably get them off drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you can necessarily change their addictive personality,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, yes, you can navigate people, but you're never going to change people. Someone can be the most caring, compassionate, lovable person at their core, but they can still make mistakes in life,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's not going to change who they are. That's not going to change the fact that they're still going to help everybody. But they can still make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Someone that is just a shitbag at their core,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what you do, they're just going to be a shitbag.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, they may accept that circumstance, but they're still going to be. And I think that like, then I question why, like how much effort do you put into trying to manipulate that situation to get a different outcome?
I think that word is huge. I think the choice of the word is huge, and is you said manipulate. I think if you have to do that, then it's
Not worth it.
it's not worth it, right? If you gotta manipulate it to make it work, then you're gonna have to keep manipulating it to make it work, right? And then what truth is in that?
Yeah.
If you gotta go into it and force feed this situation, right, in order for it to live, then the energy you're exerting to keep it alive is going to wear you out, right? You're going to, and then when you get to the point where you're tired and frustrated, then now you're gonna blow up, right?
Yeah.
Or you're gonna walk away from it, or whatever you're gonna do, whatever your response is to that type of weight. You're going to do that in that moment where sometimes we just don't make the right decision up front. And maybe that's because of that's who we are and that's how we approach situations. And we approach it with a, you know what, let me see. Maybe I can change that, or maybe I can work through that. And maybe that even on the other side is not identifying or not coming to grips with what you really do see and feeling like you can change that person. Even from a good standpoint, you may feel like I have the ability, or I'm good enough, or I'll give enough to be able to shift that, and it just may not work.
Just may not work. Because, I mean, you have to be able to, you have to understand when you're making poor decisions. You have to understand. You have to understand when you're making poor decisions.
Do you know that they're poor up front, though?
Sometimes, yeah.
But when you don't?
When you don't, I think there's red flags, as they say.
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess you really don't, because if you did, you wouldn't put yourself in this situation.
I would hope not.
You wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to identify a poor. It's hard to identify a poor choice.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, it's easy to make a right choice, like commenting, subscribing.
That's real easy.
To real easy.
That's easy.
Push the button.
Yeah.
To all things Deep MC. Subscribe and let us know what you think. If you can identify, a bad choice?
Yeah.
That's a good thing to dive into. I don't know. I would like to say, I think some of us think we're better at it than we really are.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think we feel like we have eyes and we can see all and know all, and then 10 years later realize that was a bad decision.
There goes that 10 years
Right.
of my life. Yeah. No, man. I don't know.
If I would have done this at that point. Anybody ever had that? If I would have done this, I do it all the time. Because
day.
I've been here, like I said, 22 years. And if I would have not rented, but bought with whatever little money I had at that moment, man, that little piece of whatever would be, God,
Yeah, you're doing well.
be doing real well.
Very well right now.
Yeah.
But that's all choices in life.
Yep. Yep.
That got us to where we are.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just choices.
Did we answer anything on this one?
No,
I
probably
think we
not.
kind of just scratched the surface.
Just batted it around a little bit, Well, that's the whole point, get people to think and hopefully that they'll come with their own solutions, because you can't make the choices for everybody. Everybody has to make their own.
Yeah. And our identity, man, I think is really rooted and grounded in all of the experiences that you have. And they change. I look at, case in point, I look at my mom, right? I look at my mom and I look at her identity. She was a wife for 51 years. Now she's learning how to be a single woman with no kids.
Yeah.
Right? She was a wife and mother for 51 years. Now is a single woman at 73 years old, 72 years old, and learning new things and going new places and doing it on her own.
Yeah.
And so her identity, her thought processes, her considerations all have changed, and they changed in a moment, right? They changed in a moment.
Just like that. It happens fast.
So I say that because our lives are very much the same, right? Things come in, things change. Find those things that are staples. Hold on to those. Those other things, man.
Fuck everybody. And like that, we are done.
Peace out.
What's going on, guys? Hope you like the show. Appreciate y'all listening, but we need something from you.
Yeah, man, we need you to like, comment, and subscribe. We want to know what you like about the show, so that we can continue to create relevant content for you.
Appreciate it.